Guys, welcome back. Now, continuation from the previous video on chapter 2.1, we're going to focus on some of the settings that are related to Microsoft Teams, including team settings, policies, and whatnot. When you look into the team settings, for example, right here on the screen, you'll see there are a few settings that you can change or enable in order to control what activities can be done within your teams. For example, suggested feeds that can appear in your user activity. If it is something that your team has decided that you don't want, you can disable that features. There are other things you can do is manage tags, define predefined set of tags where when someone is trying to add a tag on their team, some of the suggested name will be visible from the drop down menu or options. Now you also have options where a shift app can apply tags. So if you are working in a morning shift, it will automatically add a tag. So anything that you may enter during that time may be searchable using those tags during that moment. So let's go take a look at how these team settings can be applied. So under Teams, you'll see that you have the team settings. There you can enable, disable some of these features, and you can also enable email integrations. In the previous video, I've shown you that you can actually send an email to your teams, which will show up in activity. If you do not want an external domain to send emails to those team, you could restrict those domain. You can say that only allows users can send emails to the channel. Now, right now, what I'm doing is that I've only allowed emails to be sent from these domain. So if you're trying to send an email from a domain that is not listed here, it will not be allowed. So for example, in this scenario, if I want the Gmail users to send an email to my team address, I would put gmail.com. Oops, my apology, discard that. I'm going to say gmail.com and hit the spacebar. So you can add a list of domains that will be allowed to send an email to your team's address. Now, obviously, team is designed for mostly for internal users. You wouldn't want to set, you wouldn't want external, organization to send the team unless they're part of their project or not. So that would be one options, and any files that you want to store, you can add the Google Drive, Dropbox, so that you can store some files on those virtual drives. Organization tabs, if you want the organization tabs to be visible to the user, you have the options right about here. Now, when it comes to devices, which controls the account behavior of your Surface Hub devices. These are devices that can be used within Team. If you want to whether use a secondary authentication or not, these are some of the settings you can define here. Now, Teams also have something called policies. So if you go to, well, first of all, let's go back to our team. I'm not going to save any of this information. The one that we created is Microsoft Voice Team. Now, one of the things in the previous video I said, which was kind of slightly incorrect. If you look at the settings, I said that you cannot change that. Actually, you can. I just forgot to see the edit button at the top right corner because of the big monitor that I have. So if you added that, you can enable some of these permissions, and this could be whether you can enable guest access, whether the team should be public or private. If you want to put a description, you can, if you want to mention someone's name, the ability to mention other people's name in the channel, guest permission, and of course some of the fun settings like Giphy, stickers, like emojis, stuff like that. Members permission, there are a few things that if you want the members to be able to do, for example, edit sent message, delete messages, team owners can delete sent messages if they want to. All those settings can be done. Now, in addition to team settings, we have something called policies. So there you see the team policies. Now, every time you create a team, you have a default policy, which is called the global, the org-wide default. If you click on that, there are a few settings that you can enable here. For example, ability to create a channel, private channel, shared channel, as well as invite external users to the shared channel. Now, I have actually did invite a Google account into my channel. For example, if I go to manage, if you look at here in the summary, you'll see there is a one guest account. If you go to my MS Team Voice Study Kit, I did invited a Google account into that. Now, having said that, there are certain permissions has to be enabled in order for you to enable external user to join in, which is simply like send an invite and make sure the team settings, I believe right about here on the edit menu, that you do have the guest permission on. All right, so now if I go back to policies and I want to create my own policy, so I'm going to call this VBC team policy. Again, any name you want to define. I don't want them to create a shared account for whatever reason. I don't want people from external, invite from external or internal. I want this team to be internal only. Again, due to sometime you may have to create a team for, let's say, Health Canada or Health Department of your country, where there could be some restriction in terms of that document or stuff should not be accessible outside your organizations. Again, regulatory issues. So I can create that. So now I have a policy, but this policy is currently not applied to anybody. So I want to apply this policy to my users. I can go to manage users and assign users to that. So I have to select which user. So Faisal Khan, I can add both of them. Support. I can add the support as well. So what's gonna happen is if I press apply, is gonna apply to that those three users. Now, if I discard this, I go to group assignment. I could say, okay, let's see if we can display a group. So MS Team. So I can assign to that group as well. Now, when you have multiple group, you can assign a rank. So ranking basically does that if the users from this group are part of other group, then users with a higher rank will have inherit the policy from the group. So it's basically so basically we're saying that if I'm a user who might belong to two group, which policy will apply to me? Well, the policy with a higher rank will apply or inherited to my account. So if I want everybody to use this policy, I will put a higher rank of more than one. And then policy name, I'm going to say VBC team policy and click on apply. So that's basically how you control the users who might belong to multiple group. All right, so that's basically what the team policy does. Now you can create a team template. These are existing template that you can see. For example, if you're creating a team for an event management, you will have a team called manage an event. So if I click on this, you'll see that these are some of the channels for that template is already created. Now, again, this could be due to, these are some of the industry standard possibility. You can customize it, you can add and remove if you want to. So now you can see that I have a general channel, I got announcement, and each channel will have certain tabs, certain apps. You can enable it by default or not. So, okay, let me close that. So now, for example, now that I have all these teams, and if I want to create a Microsoft team from this template, what I would do, I will, using my team, Microsoft Team app, there's a right at the bottom called join or create a team. So if I click on this, I have an option to join a team, I've decided to create a team called event planning. I have a seminar coming up and I want to create an event for that. So I can choose from scratch or choose from an existing team that I might have, or I can choose it from the template. So I'm going to choose manage an event. And it's going to give me all this stuff. And this is going to be for an event that I'm going to host sometime next month, where I want to do a seminar in my office, and I could use this team to work with my my team. Now I'm going to use this for private, and I'm going to say VBC on-site seminar November 2020. So 2022. Okay, so customize. If I want any of this customization, I could do that. Description, for career event. So I can put a little descriptions, what's the purpose, and then create the team. So basically it will save me from manually creating those channels and all the stuff or app. Most of the apps that I need for event planning could already be included in that. And as you can see, it is creating the team for my account. All right, so you can see a team was created, VBC on-site seminar. It has general. I thought it was going to have more tabs. Maybe I've chosen the wrong, what do you call it, template, but you got the point. That team has been created. I can see some of the tabs right here, which can be customizable. I can see if I go to our site, and then here at the top, when you press this little plus button, you can add some of the apps that might be available within your applications. So right now, going back to this, yeah, if I decided to use any of these apps in my teams, for example, let's say I want to have something called Microsoft Excel, I could include an Excel tab so that I can select a file or take some, start a blank file. So I don't think I have any file available here. So I'm going to choose something else. So let's try Notepad or something like that. Maybe also Whiteboard. Whiteboard is a free application you can use where you can use to create draw things on the wall, which would be something that you might want to use it for planning or whatnot. So like this, you can add more apps within your team so that the people who are member of this team can collaborate and access resources up on demand. All right, so for example, right here. All right, so that's it for Teams policies and team settings in Microsoft Teams.